So, ignoring more recent spoilers, why wasn't Luffy's Devil Fruit considered a Logia? Well, there are two ways to answer this question. One is far more interesting, so let's get the simple one out of the way first. A Logia has to be a natural element, and rubber is artificial. Yes, it comes from something natural, it comes from the resin of a rubber tree, but rubber itself, in the properties and the ways that we know of it, is artificial. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the much more interesting question: why do we think he's a Logia? Something instinctually about Luffy's fruit felt different from other fruits that we see later on. It didn't feel like a Paramecia because it's always on in much the same way that Logias are. Now, the reason for that is not because Oda was trying to foreshadow later reveals, but rather, he didn't know what he was doing at the start. A lot of people have this idea that Oda had the entire story, every single detail, planned from the very beginning, but a lot of stuff in his story, he was just winging it. And devil fruits are a perfect example of this. Specifically, East Blue devil fruits. Back in the East Blue, we see 4 devil fruits. We see the Gum Gum, the Chop Chop, the Slip Slip, and the Smoke Smoke. And the way that these devil fruits works is fundamentally different from every other devil fruit we see in the series. I suppose with the caveat of the Smoke Smoke fruit. That logic carries on to all of the other Logias, but the 3 Paramecias from the East Blue are radically different. From what we see in the story, a Paramecia fruit gives you the ability to create something or activate something or some sort of wacky power, but it's always a power that you have to actively activate. Every single Paramecia in the East Blue is passively active. Luffy is always rubber, Buggy can never be chopped, and Alvida is always slippery. They don't have the ability to turn these things off. And this is because at the very beginning there was no distinction between the types of devil fruits. They were all just devil fruits. It wasn't until much later that Oda decided he wanted to diversify the devil fruits, and in doing so, he created the different types and the different rules for each type. Logia, always active. These early Paramecias, also always active. And that's why so many people thought Luffy should have been a Logia. His powers don't follow the rules that have been set for Paramecia devil fruits. His abilities are far more similar to a Logia fruit than a Paramecia, because in the beginning, there didn't used to be a difference.